1 diabetes is an autoimmune disease that causes a person's pancreas to stop producing insulin. Because of this, a type 1 diabetic is unable to get energy from food. While its causes are not yet entirely understood, scientists believe that both genetic factors and environmental triggers are involved. For Hereford High School sophomore Will Schuler, his recent diabetes diagnosis has taken some getting used to, but it certainly hasn't stopped him. Take a look. As many as 3 million Americans are living with type 1 diabetes. Hereford High School junior Will Schuler is one of them. When were you diagnosed with diabetes?
July 1st, 2013.
Will became one of the more than 15,000 children and 15,000 adults diagnosed with type 1 diabetes last year. Will also finished his sophomore tennis season at Hereford High School with an all-district singles nod and the best win percentage on the boys' side. He's ranked #1 in his class and spent the summer at Cornell University and finished a School of Business summer session with a 4.0. You want to play some tennis?
Yes.
Okay. Obviously, Will Schuler isn't letting diabetes dictate his life on or off of the court.
I'm just ready, like right here.
I think what I learned about diabetes was that it's like a more significant struggle than I thought.
Right. It's just constant management. You have to check your finger up to 10 times a day just by pricking it to check the blood sugar. And then you have to give yourself insulin every time you have a snack or meal, or really anytime you eat, you have to give insulin to yourself. It's a life that for most seems pretty daunting. Do you ever struggle with it with tennis? Occasionally, yes. I have to take breaks between matches and practice.
Does it make your parents crazy?
Sometimes, yes. Yeah, they worry sometimes at night, just making sure I don't go too low or too high. And that's another time the CGM helps me out, is to alert them if I'm going low in the night or something.
Because of incredible advances in technology and treatment, those worries and those struggles are lessened. Currently, the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation is funding more than 50 clinical trials and pumping $530 million into research projects worldwide, so kids like Will can serve up a life without limitations.
This is a CGM. It's a continuous glucose monitor, and it is hooked up to a sensor which constantly tells me my blood sugar. It checks every 5 minutes, and it'll give me a warning if I'm going low or high. I used to be on shots, which would be giving a shot every time I eat a meal in my leg, but now I have the pump, which I just change every 3 days, and it just makes it a lot easier.
Oh, that's awesome.
It gives me all the insulin I need.
Okay, so no more shots?
Right.
Well, no more insulin shots. Will's got plenty of these shots still in him. Needless to say, Will got a few points off of me. It wasn't that deep, though. Okay, Khaki and Christy all join us today on behalf of the local chapter of the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation. Welcome, guys. Thank you so much for coming by. Okay, let's talk about juvenile diabetes. Where are we at as far as, finding an answer to all the questions that everyone has, a cure?
Well, the question is that there are several questions that we need to find the answer to. We have several streams of research that we focus on. One of them is prevention, and the prevention isn't the type that a lot of people would think it would be with diet and exercise. We're talking prevention, which in many cases we have one child or one family member with type 1, and because we have that, and it's an autoimmune disease that has a genetic component, we start looking at the other family members, and there's now a program called TrialNet that JDRF is one of the foundations behind, where we actually invite families to get tested so they can look for one of 5 genetic indications that can tell them whether or not it would be a good idea to consider treatment preventatively on one of the other children. I mean,
interesting.
I had someone in my office today that has a 4-year-old. The 4-year-old was there. Her 8-year-old sister was diagnosed at spring break. The 4-year-old was diagnosed at 19 months. So that's we're seeing a lot in that. We're seeing a lot in encapsulation. We're seeing a lot in the type of technology, like you saw his pump.
Yeah, it has changed Will's life for sure, without a doubt. How many kids are we talking about? And not just kids, though, adults as well with type 1 diabetes in the area.
Surprisingly, there's 15,000 people just in West Texas that are suffering with type 1 diabetes, and 85% of those are adults.
It's really, really interesting. Now, we've got the bear in here, so we should definitely reference, once a diagnosis comes down, there are certainly lots and lots of questions. And that's something that you guys really have a hands-on approach with, right? Helping with answering all those questions that parents
Well, we try to give them the tools. We try to give our volunteers and our clinicians the tools to assist. You know, there's no substitution for your clinician, your doctor, your nurse practitioner, and so we try to stay out of their way. They know a lot better than we do. Our job is to raise money for research and promote the education and advocacy, but ideally they need to have a good relationship with their clinician and make sure that the parents or other caregivers also have that type of relationship where they understand, because compliance is so important. In order to get to that day when maybe we have that cure in hand, we need our folks to be healthy as possible, and that compliance and understanding the medical directives for how they're supposed to treat their diabetes. And Rufus is important because Rufus, if you'll notice, he has the little patches on him. Those patches help teach children when they're first diagnosed whether or not they test in one area or inject in another area, and so that's why he's a teaching tool. Very cool. And he also is very comforting.
He's and he's cute. It's nice to have a big bear around the studio for sure. Okay, so coming up on Saturday, we want to invite everybody to go out to you guys' big fundraiser. It's the Walk to Cure Diabetes, right? Give us the details.
Yes, it's a 5K run, or you can walk, and the 5K registration will start at 7, and the run will start at 8, and then the walk will start at 9 with registration at 8. And everyone's invited to come out. It's free for the walking, and they're going to provide hamburgers and such for all those that participate. It's just a day of celebrating.
Wonderful. Well, that's at John Stiff Park, and we've got all the details for it over on our website. Y'all, thanks so much for coming by. We appreciate it. It's a really, really important cause. And Rufus, thanks for stopping by to you as well. All right, coming up next, we're going to talk with one business owner